Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the second of ComCept's webinars to familiarize our customers and hopefully prospective customers some of the products we have. I know a lot of people have been running ComCept for a long time, and there's a lot going on at ComCept, and it's a nice tool here to familiarize our customers with what's available for you in the future and what's available now. Today's webinar is going to be on mobile.net. This product is a very mature product in the field being used massively by our customers. But the most exciting thing about it is that this is based on a new technology we call ComSync. It's basically technology that we have invented. All of our mobile products are on this, and eventually your entire system is going to move to this technology platform. Now, when I say technology platform, what's that really mean to you? Here's what it means to you. When you're in shops and you can't get connectivity, or you're in a remote area or whatever, what this does is it basically moves a little copy of the data center to a local PC. That way, it doesn't matter whether you have an internet connection or not. You have full functionality. You can do everything you're going to see today. And what happens is, since it's like a mini data center in your PC, the only thing that's going over the internet is in the background. It's based on Microsoft SQL Server. So the SQL Server in the PC is synchronizing with the SQL Server in the data center. What that does is gives you blazing performance, and it has nothing to do with the speed of the internet. In other words, you do everything, and in the background it synchronizes and catches up, and the orders are in the stores. I've had a lot of customers in that over a period of time here, the margins are getting squeezed more and more and more. If you look at Blockbuster and Redbox and those kinds of things, automation is really your biggest opportunity to reduce your costs, and that's what this is about. We have customers that are shooting for, and some of them are 100% of Salesman orders are coming in over electronically instead of having to call it in, fax it in. What this does, it completely changes the staffing requirements in the store, because you don't have a salesman on the phone talking to your best guy because he's the only one who can get an order right. It also, will increase your accuracy just substantially. But this is just one of the many ways that ComCept is taking advantage of cloud technology, which gives you the availability of the cloud technology. This product is based on transaction fees, and I really want to explain what transaction fees are and why they are. If you pull up to a gas pump, you're going to get 20 gallons, and the guy on the other side's got a motorhome, and he's going to get 300. He's going to pay more than you. What this does is allows you to have a product that you really don't have any cost in unless you use it. So therefore, you're getting the benefit of the savings while you're incurring the cost. But that's what transaction fees are, to maintain the infrastructure and have it be scalable, where you can go to any number of salesmen using this. Today we have, again, Glenn Jr. and Todd Johnson are going to do the presentation. They're going to take you through it. This is not intended to be a training session where you'll learn everything. This is intended to be exposure, so that you do know what the products will do big picture wise. So I'm going to turn it over to them now, and let's see what we got here, guys.
Good afternoon. Yes, I'm Glenn Atwell, Jr. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the mobile.net products before I turn it over to Todd Johnson, who is going to actually walk you through the product and show you what the screens look like and how it functions. I want to touch on a couple of points of housekeeping as well before we go forward. As Glenn Sr. already touched on, this is meant to be a product overview, and really just a product overview only to show you the things we have to offer for you to make your business better, and how they work and what the benefits are of them. If any of you have any questions or want any more information after this presentation, There's going to be a email address shown at the very end, and I'll tell it to you now. It's the letter G and the number 2, G2, at ComCept.net. If you address any of your questions to that email address, I will get responses right back to you as soon as I can. Also, we would love to do individual demos for anybody that would be more interested in this after this is over with. For the example that every single customer we have uses some of our products just a little bit differently. So it will always work best if we can do an individual demo and explain to you and discuss with you how the product would fit best in your organization and working with your customers. That being said, I want to go into a couple of the points about the product itself. Mobile.net is a mobile salesman product that has several features and benefits for the salesman in the field working with your customers. The most important one being the salesman can now place orders directly from the shop on a device, and I'll talk about the devices on the next slide. But they can use a mobile device, a tablet-related device, and place orders directly from the shop, completely untethered, as long as they either have an internet connection or will have access to one at some point later. That's the offline functionality that Glenn Sr. touched on. So they don't even have to have an internet connection, whether it be Wi-Fi or cell signal, when they're taking the orders. The system will just sync up the next time they are in an area where they have that signal. So it works completely the same online and offline for the salesman functions for sales orders and for count sheets, inventory count sheets. Those count sheets can be used to place orders as well as to just take a physical inventory in the shop if that's what's needed as well. Those physical inventories can help the salesman manage the shop inventory with direct entry into the customer count sheets. And the system works with either direct entry with a keyboard or a keypad or barcode scanning. So they can go right down the aisle and scan those items, and it can be in bin sort order. So as they go down the sheet, it will be in the order of what's on the shelf. So it's very, very expedient for the salesman. It runs on any Windows 8.1 device. It also runs on Windows 7 and Windows 10 as well. Windows 8.1 is the thing that's been prevalent up till now. Obviously, 10 is taking over here currently. It is cloud-based. It's the ComCept technology that Glenn Sr. touched on. And what that means is the Windows tablet is the PC device that he was referring to. So there's actually a small service with a small footprint that runs on the tablet device that allows the system to run fast, whether it's online or offline, and allows for that full offline capability because the system itself is always speaking to the service, and the service is actually doing the talking to the internet. So you're never hindered by internet speed, whether you're connected or not. Here's just a brief bit of the hardware recommendations. Another note on this presentation that I'm showing you, it's available as a handout on the webinar link that you have. You can click on there and download it yourself, and you'll have it right there for you. Also, once again, use that email address if you want more information. We'll get in touch with you and get that to you as well. Going through the hardware recommendations very quickly. We're not recommending specific brands at this time. Once again, I think it would depend on what you were going to do with it as to how big or how small of a device you would need, but Microsoft Surface Pros are out in the field running this right now. Dell Venues are out in the field running this right now, so you're not stuck to one particular brand. It runs on Windows 7, Windows 8.1, Windows 10. It is completely browser-based from the user experience, so Internet Explorer 10 or newer, Firefox 25 or newer, Google Chrome 34 or newer. Basically, it will work on any of the browsers that will run on a Windows-based tablet device. Networking, as we already touched on, it will work on a Wi-Fi only device, only understanding that it will only be as current, the data on it when it's offline will only be as current as the last time it was online. So if you're just using Wi-Fi, say back at the store, when the salesman's out in the field, the longer the day goes on, if he's doesn't connect to a Wi-Fi connection and only has a Wi-Fi only device, the information that is there as far as item availability or pricing could start to get stale as the day goes on. So that is the one thing with the offline mode, but it does allow you, if budget and hardware is a concern, you can go with a Wi-Fi connection only. The recommendation is a cellular connection on the device along with Wi-Fi or a mobile hotspot, so you can sync up frequently throughout the day, if not online all the time. For memory, a 4 gig of memory minimum is recommended. 8 gig is better. 4 gig is the minimum to actually run the application. 8 gig works perfectly out in the field in everything we've seen so far. And the one thing about storage, what is awesome about all these new tablet devices, without getting into the technical side of it, if they have solid-state drives, if you've seen a device with one, you know how much faster it is than the old hard drives with the spinning disks and the magnets and everything else. Something that used to take 90 seconds to 3 minutes to boot up now boots up in about 7 to 10 seconds on a device like this. And when the salesman is in the field, they don't want to have to sit there and wait on a function to happen. They want it to happen.
Let me interject something there. Let me interject, please, real quick. The other real benefit of a solid-state device is there's no moving parts, so it'll take banging around a whole lot better than a spinning hard drive will not take banging around. A solid-state device is just like the memory in your camera or something, so it no moving parts, and it's much more durable. I just wanted to interject that.
That's a very, very good point. It's not that you want to drop devices, but it actually has a much better chance of surviving if there's a bang or a knock or a drop on the device as well because of that. So, as far as the scanners go, any USB wired or Bluetooth laser scanner or the new red light scanner should be sufficient. If you haven't seen the red light scanners, they're the ones that are smaller, about the size of a pack of gum or so, and they work very similarly to the way that the traditional pistol grip laser scanner like you see there works. They just use wider band of red light, so they take a second or so longer to actually make the scan, so they're a little slower, but they are smaller and therefore easy to carry and work with in the field. And we can talk to you about brands and things like that if we're doing a demo with you, finding out exactly how you're going to be using it. We can tell you some of the things that other people are doing out there. But either one of those technologies works fine. The one thing that does not work well for the same reason as far as the speed goes is the camera-based barcode readers that go with some of these devices and phones. They will technically function, but it takes too long for the process to go to make it practical for a salesman to use it in the field. You would be talking 30 to 45 seconds between each line that they scan, and that's just not practical for a salesman to go through.
Another thing to interject here is you see the picture of the barcode scanner. That's just one of a million. We have all different kinds of barcode scanners that fit like on a ring on your finger and small ones, and that's what he's talking about when he says, you know, get with us if you intend to deploy this, and we'll work with you as far as which devices and scanners you get and everything, because there's a myriad. Don't just see that picture and think that's the way the barcode scanner has to be.
That's absolutely true. That just happens to be the one that I have. And also, I mean, I could do a whole presentation just on hardware that would take up a whole webinar if we wanted to go into that level of detail, and it's easier to do it with everybody based on how they want to use the application. So that's all that I want to cover right now. Here's the email address that I talked to you about and the phone number. If you have any questions after this, want to set up a demo, after Todd Johnson's done, I'm going to turn it over to him here in one moment. When he's done, this is the information that if you want to get back in touch with us and set up a demo or ask for more detailed information about some of the things we touched on, you can use the email address of g2@comcept.net or call 727-535-1900 and actually select option 3. I don't have that on the slide, but that's what you would want for this product line. So
let me say one more thing. The G2 is only a derivative of G1, and we got tired of saying Glenn and nobody knew they're talking about, so I became G1, he became G2, just for your information.
All right, Todd, you ready?
I am ready.
All right, sir. It is all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for attending. My name is Todd Johnson, and what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of roll through all the different menu options and everything that you have within the mobile.net application. It is an installed app on the device, and the top 2 entries that you see here is your customer count sheets and your sales orders. That's the bulk of the of the mobile technology in the ComSync technology. The rest of the information in here is an online only type portion of it, including your reporting and stuff like that. You do need to have a connection for those, but your offline mode capable areas are actually on the field, you know, hitting the pavement and building those orders, taking those customer inventories, and then whether you want to submit customer inventories as orders as well, and management of that. It is a secure access where you do have a username and password to log in, and that's what will dictate what you have available to you within the suite. Let's kind of start with some count sheets. So this is a list of your online and offline count sheets that you've been working on. When I say online and offline, it's showing the stuff in green. That means it's, you know, the stuff that's been submitted and sent. This happens to be a count sheet that I had worked with and then actually sent that through and built an order off of it. This is just a list of what the count sheet is. So you've got your item codes information, you've got your quantities, you do have a stock level area here, and then a recommended order quantity based on counted quantity versus suggested stock level that you've set up for that account. You can modify any of these columns, and they will also update safety stock levels and the order quantities as you submit and finalize that count sheet.
Let me just kind of interject here when he's saying you can adjust those. What it's really doing is it's really updating those, of course, on your local machine, but it's updating those on the server. So the key thing is there's no maintenance to this that anybody in the office has to do or anything like that. So if the salesman has a stocking quantity of 3 in there and he sees the customers running out and he wants to up it to 4 or 5 or 6, all he does is change that number, and the next time if he counts 3 and the number's 6, it's going to try to order 3. So I just want to make that point that even though you're operating remotely, it is going back and changing the actual data on the servers, so there is no maintenance to anybody except that salesman changing that number at any time he wants.
Thank you, Glenn. What I'll do here is I'm just going to add a new count sheet so you can kind of see how it works. I won't go through the whole thing and take the full count. I'm just going to select who the customer is for it. I don't have to put a count sheet name in there, and then I can choose how I want to populate this count sheet. This particular one, I do have a customer inventory set up on it, so I'm just going to base the count sheet off of their current customer inventory settings. It'll actually give it a name based on the bill to, ship to, and date automatically, so you don't necessarily have to supply. So here you actually see the count sheet name that it has given it. So once you're here, you can keyboard control it or you can scan mode it. If you want to click and you want to see availability of product, you can actually click on the item codes. That'll show you what you have at the customer's default stocking location. You can go through and just modify your quantities.
That number, I'm sorry, TJ, just real quick. That availability that TJ just showed you is exactly what I was talking about, where if you are offline, that number will only be as current as the last time you were online. So if you've been offline for 4 hours and it says 1 and you're getting ready to place an order for it, you might want to call the store first. If you've only been offline for 10 minutes, it's probably accurate.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and just jump into scan mode here.
If it's slow moving product, that sucker might be 1 for a year.
So in the scan mode area, this is a quick way to scan multiple items. Like, you know, you open up a cabinet door, you're going through their stock. We'll just scan a few of them here. Scanning it multiple times, it'll auto increment, or I could use the plus and minus if I wanted to increment in that respect. Once I've got those, I can send those through. That will update on the count sheet. And then it's also adjusting your order quantity approximations that you can then modify, and you can adjust the stock levels. Once you have that entire inventory done, you would then go ahead and choose how you want to send that count sheet. At the very bottom of the page here, an open count sheet, that's the status it is in currently. If I just do finalize count sheet, that's basically just taking the inventory at the collision center, and that's as far as it goes. You can also build it as a collision links order. So for those of you that were on our previous webinar on collision scan, collision vend, that's what builds the order in that portal so it can be further manipulated and then submitted. Or you can actually just send it through as a work order right to the store. Typically that's the way those are handled, is they're just sent right directly to the store so they can be picked and shipped.
And it shows up in the store as a work order already there, and it has your warnings and things like that that you're used to seeing electronic orders coming in.
That is correct. I'm just going to kind of go through these in order here. Sales orders, major component of this application is for just going into the collision center, scanning products based on labeling the center as far as what they got, where it's located, and then just building an order just like you were building an order at the store itself. So again, this is your listing of orders that have been submitted in the green. You see the actual work order numbers that were created at the stores for them to pick and ship. These are your offline entries, because every order you create is offline until you send it, and then it's sending everything through.
If any of you have been
order. Go ahead, Glenn.
Okay. If any of you have used the Collision Links, formerly called Order Links portal, and your salesmen actually log in to each time they go to a customer, they log in to Collision Links using that customer's login and password and build the order there online. I know we have several people that do that or have done that. This is actually a direct replacement for that. You can set it up and give the salesman access to as many customers as you want to based on store location. So when you install it for a particular salesman and you install it for the store location that he works out of, he will be able to place orders for any of the customers within that store location by default. So he doesn't have to remember 20 or 30 different logins and passwords for 20 or 30 different customers anymore or more. Thanks, DJ.
Correct. Thank you. So what you're seeing here, if for those of you that use our applications, your main core application at the store, this is going to look and feel really similar to a work order screen. You select your customer information, and that will auto filter. Select the closest, it'll show you the closest matches. Just select it from there. If you got build tos and ship tos, you can select those, or you could even choose the ship to in the main build to drop down, and it automatically puts the proper build to in place and the ship to in the shipping area. If you do have technicians set up at that location, you can go ahead and assign a tech to it. You can add a purchase order number, and then once again, I can either hand key items, adjust my quantity and click add, or I can jump into scan mode, and we'll just hit a few items here. Again, it auto increments, and you can also use that plus and minus you see next to them as they're being added. And then we'll send those to the order, so that populates the order. One other thing I want to show you on here is if you've got items where you're doing velocity style pricing and quantity breaks or monthly special promos and so on, this is an example of one of those where if you add it through this area, you will get an automated pop-up showing you what the quantity differences are and the price that they would pay for those different quantity breaks. So if I adjust this quantity to 4, it's going to add that, and it's automatically adjusting it based on that velocity style pricing. You can also get to it if you have scanned it. You can get to that same information just by clicking on the item code. Again, you're seeing the availability at your stocking location for that customer, as well as those different price breaks. Once the order is completed, you can also add a message to it, and then you can send it or you can save it. So if you're in that situation where you got limited connectivity, you would go ahead and just save this order, and then when you do have your connectivity established again, you can go through from the master list and you can select the ones you want to send in mass. If you are in an online mode, you can go ahead and just send automatically.
Let me ask a question, TJ.
Sure.
If you don't know if you're online or offline and you're there and you say send and you're really not online, will it stack up and wait and send when it has internet?
It will queue it up and it will sense it and handle that for you.
Thank goodness.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so then from this list, I can refresh this screen, and you can see it's actually already been uploaded. It's also added it to the list down here. So this is that work order number that's been created at the store. So no need to call anybody, let anybody know. I'll just kind of jump down to this work order processing page real quick here, because this is actually, in some cases, based on your business plan and what your salesmen are doing, they may need access to the work order processing screen. So what this is typically what's at the store for them to locate those orders, print their pick slips, and then ship and process them. So there you actually see the order that we had sent here. This was a previous one that I had done for that previous count sheet we were looking at that I actually sent through as an order. So you're seeing that as well as this most recent mobile order that I just created. So then from here they can print their pick slips. If you were a salesman in the field and you needed to send an order via email to someone, maybe a driver's out on the road in a store location or something, you could actually print the pick slip as a PDF, send it through your email provider. Offline documents, we'll just kind of go through the rest of these tabs here. What this is this is going to show you uploaded orders, canceled orders. It's also a maintenance area. If you're having problems with your device and you're working with one of our techs, there's some things they might have you do here. Clean up the database. Sometimes if you've got an intermittent connection and you want to just force the application to stop trying to attempt to go online and drop an offline again, you can force the app into an offline mode. And then when you're in an area where you've got better connectivity, you just set it back to auto. Registration is actually mainly used when the application is first installed. If you ever, that's another thing based on if you have problems with the device and so on, sometimes you do need to re-register the product. So that's why that link is available to you there in case that has to happen. You do have time clock. Go ahead, sure.
Well, that registration function also sorts, if you are an organization that wants to roll this out to multiple salesmen all at one time, this allows your salesmen in the field, if they're granted the right permissions, to be able to essentially click a link in their web browser which will install the application for them, register it for them using your company's information without your techs having to do anything or touch those machines. So it allows for a mass rollout of the application to larger groups of people spread across larger geographical areas if that's something you need.
Yeah, basically a self-install, so the customer can install it. You don't have to use ComCept text to do it.
Great. This here is your, if you're using time clock functions out in the field, you do have the ability to do your clock in and clock outs right here as well. Customer inventory, this is based on a few different things. It's for your customer count sheets. This is where you can set up, Glenn Jr. talked about setting up bin locations for a customer. So here's actually a customer inventory list that was created. This is one bin location that's in there. So here's where you can actually set those stock levels. There is utilities in here where you can add new bins, adjust the stock levels based on customers' previous purchase history. So you can catch different trends and different workflows there. And then also it's maintaining your on-hand counts in the cases of either if it's a vending customer or a scanning customer using the collision vend or collision scan products. So this is where you would maintain and handle that customer inventory list. We touched on work order processing. Collision links orders, we referred to that. if you were sending that count sheet through as a collision links, or for some of the salesmen out in the field that are actually using collision links currently to build orders, you can, in the case where this is really handy, is if you are dealing with a vending customer or a scanning customer, you can actually pull in their open orders because you may have set up a schedule with them as far as when you're going to grab all of their orders that they've used with the collision scan product or collision vend product. And then you could submit those, you know, at your standard times, whether it's Tuesday at 2, Friday at 3, whatever. Customer replenishment. What this is going to show you is a couple things. If you ever bump into also problems with those customers that are using the collision scan or collision vend product, you can actually assist them if they contact you saying they had an improper vend or they had a problem with a vend or a scan. So this is like a management area for all of your customers that are using that product. So here I can actually see what's actually been placed on orders. So you see the actual collision links order that's been created, their job numbers they're working with, the techs that have been scanning out products, and if you've got something you need to correct, it'll show an actual error, what's going on. These are all, there's no errors on these vends or scans, so everything is okay, but this is where you would be able to maintain and make those corrections. I seem to be stuck. Let's go ahead and get logged back in here.
Typically, salesmen in the field won't be running GoToWebinar on their surfaces.
So you can see your login page. You've got an embedded company code that's specific to your database, and then your username and password. Here's your reporting menu. So based on what you have security for the different reports you can run, you've got your customer reporting for VOC reports, item usage reporting, any other reports that you have access to, just based on locating them through these different tabs. Task Manager, very limited use. Some of the stuff you do is task related. It's out there if it needs to be used. And you've also got some lookup features. Customer lookup if you need to check balances and aging, sales information. I'll go ahead and put a client in here. You search for it, then you can go ahead and select it. It's going to show you basic company information as well as 12 months worth of sales history, number of transactions, and their aging, last time they made a payment, and so on. And that doesn't seem to want to appear for me right now. You got price lookup information. Just like when you're building an order for a client, it's doing all the pricing automatically. You can use this feature to check pricing for a customer without having to actually create an order for it. So you could actually just put a customer name in. Key and item code. And then you can just say price it, and that'll read through what that customer's price matrix and profile are doing, because that is actually part of that local data that's on that machine that it's going to read from, and it's going to show you what that customer's best price is for that product. So those are the basics. Like I say, once again, the customer count sheets and the sales orders completely offline mode capable. The other areas are in online mode, so when you've got that connection, you do have additional tools to utilize out in the field. What I'll do now is I'm just going to pass this back over to G2. And he will close for us.
All I'd like to say is, yeah, what I'd like to say is good job, guys. We sure hope everybody out there finds it helpful. If there's anything we can do to make it better, please go to that email address, g2comcept.net. Give us any kind of feedback. You know, this is the second of this webinars, and we intend to have a regular schedule of webinars through. We're not going to have one in December, but we will start in January, and you will see at least one a month, hopefully more, because this is really the best way to get the information to our customers so that when you do talk to us about the product, you do have an overview of what, you know, what to expect. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining, and thanks for TJ and Glenn doing a good job.